Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to go ahead and do subtracting, and we're going to subtract a fraction from a mixed number. So we're going to subtract. We're going to use a number line today to help us model it. I took out a scrap piece of paper just because there's not really a lot of room to solve it. I'm going to start by modeling for you how we'll use a fraction or a number line, to do this. So very first step is we need to create our number line. Now, we know that a number line would start at 0, 1, 2, and so forth. If you notice, when I do my number line, I'm going to start at the number 1 below 3 because this is my fraction 3. So I'm going to go 2, 3, and then I'm going to go to 4. Oh, I didn't space that out very good. I'm dealing with fourths, so that means my whole numbers, I'm going to break them up into fourths. 1, 2, 3, and this would be 4 fourths. So this would be 2 and 1/4, 2 and 2/4, 2 and 3/4, and 2 and 4/4. And then I'm going to do the same. 3 and 1/4, 3 and 2/4, 3 and 3/4, 3 and 4/4, and so forth. Okay? Now that I've broken it apart, I'm going to first just plot 3 and 3/4. So I have the whole number 3 and 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So there's my original fraction, and I'm taking 1/4 away. So I'm going to go to my first plot, and I'm going to take 1/4 away, leaving me, maybe I'll put a star here so you can see my answer, leaving me with an answer or a difference of 3 and 1/4, 2/4, 3 and 2/4. Okay, so I used my number line to solve this. Here we go. We're going to move on. I'm going to just fold this so you can't see it. Our next one is 4 and 7/10, and we're taking away 3/10. So we're going to first start with our number line. Remember, I look at my whole number, which is 4, and I like to go 1 below, and then I like to go 1 above. So I have 3, 4, 5. Now I'm dealing with tenths. So that means I need to break apart my whole numbers into 10 equal parts. So I like to go in the middle because half of 10 is 5, and it's halfway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this would be 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to do the same for 4. Break it in half. That's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I got to start where I first plot. So 4 and 7/10. So I go to 4 and I count over 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I'm going to take 3/10 away. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. And I'll put a star. I'll find that my answer is 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4/10. Awesome. I want to just quickly show you, based on what we did, what you could do. So we had 4 and 7/10. If you remember what we did yesterday, we kind of decomposed or broke apart, and we had our whole number, and then I did this, my fraction a little bit lower. So if I decompose this one, well, I don't have a whole number. And then I'm going to decompose my 3/10. I can subtract my whole numbers. 4 minus 0 is 4. I'm going to subtract, well, first I need to look at my denominators. I know that 10 and 10 are the same, so my denominator is going to stay the same. And then I can subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4, and this gives me a total of 4 and 4/10. So you have here the number line model, which I really like, or you also have this standard algorithm, okay? Let's go ahead and do 5 and 1/3 minus 2/3. So we have 5 and 1/3 minus 2/3, okay? So my number line, I'll give you a minute. Pause the video, and I want you to start your number line and then double check with me. Okay, guys, so here's my number line. I go one under and then one above. So I'm going to start with 5 1/3, and then I'm going to take 2/3 away. So I go 1 and I go 2, and I'm left with 4 2/3. Okay? Now, if we were going to do this one using the standard algorithm, it would be a little different because you kind of have to borrow. So if you look, we had 4 1/3 minus 2/3. And if we used our decomposing method to subtract, we can't have 1 and take 2 away. So what we'd have to do is we would have to decompose this 5, meaning I would take 1 away, 1 whole. Another way to write 1 whole is 3/3, and then we would have 4 left over. We would have 4 3/3. So I could add this 3/3 to 1/3. 3/3 plus 1/3 is 4/3. Then I can subtract it from 2/3. So this one's all gone and I'm still left with 4 wholes, and then there's my 4 4/3. So I made it into an improper fraction. I look and I see my denominators are the same, so they're going to stay the same, and now I can subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2, so I take my whole number and I take my fraction, giving me a mixed number in 4 2/3. The same is up here. Now, me personally, I think the number line was an easier way to get to that answer, but both work. Just make sure you remember that you can't take 1. You can't have 1 and take 2 away, so you would have had to, in a sense, borrow from your whole number. Okay, guys? All right, coming up next, what I'd like you to try on your own is I want you to try D. I'm going to go over it in a little bit, but I want you to see that you can do, I don't care which method, you could do the number line or you could do the standard algorithm, whatever works for you. I'll solve them both, and then I want you to check back and see, we'll compare yours and mine. So right now, pause your video and solve D. I repeat, D.